So there are two questions that are typically asked. One is, why do you smoke? The second question is, why don't you drink alcohol? Why don't you drink? And in today's episode, I'd like to talk to you about my personal experience and journey of quitting alcohol and what I've experienced, like symptom-wise, the habit-wise, and then how I got to the point of quitting, thinking about quitting, and how I quit. And lastly, it could be a great reminder for myself in 5 years or 10 years, 20 years when I'm maybe forgetful of why I quit drinking. So I've been thinking about this making this episode quite a bit while I'm driving around. I'm thinking about why I quit. Oh yeah, I did that. And I made some notes, and I'd like to share with you, first of all, how I realized I became an alcoholic. It's one of those things in our society. When I was thinking about alcoholic is one that who goes to a bar at like noon and drink until you're passed out, not be able to pay, you don't have life together, you don't have a job, and then you become like homeless on the street or something like that. That's the image that I had. But what I realized later, when I quit and after quit, and even now I think about looking back, I was alcoholic. It's not an easy thing to share on a open, wide public forum like this, but to me, I was alcoholic because I was drinking every day for, I'm pretty sure, close to two years, possibly 3 to 4 years without even knowing. So I don't even know how long I've been drinking every day. But until the day I quit, I'm pretty sure I was drinking 2 years in like every day without skip. Everyday habitual thing, just like eating dinner, like brushing your teeth. Every day I drank for 2 years, and probably like close to 50% 2-3 years prior to that. So in over time, I was drinking probably close to 10 years, and the last 3 to 4 years, I was drinking pretty much every day. And here are some of the things that I noticed at the time. I wasn't thinking clearly. I would get really tired easily. And when I was driving around town, I felt like I was in a dreamy state. Even though I didn't have any drink. It was probably from the drink that I had before the night before. I was probably intoxicated in a certain level, even though I was just doing the daily work. And the other thing that I noticed is that after work, I think about like a cool beer or something like that, and I would just drive into a grocery store just to pick up a 6-pack or 2, and then maybe a bottle of wine. And I didn't need any groceries because we had enough groceries, and I knew that. But I was still driving into the grocery store. That was one sign. I think later on I realized that was pretty alarming, which I wasn't really thinking much about. The other sign was that I would get embarrassed because my recycle bin is so full, I couldn't put one more bottle on top. So recycle bin is, I don't know, 2 by 3 and then like 1.5 feet tall. It's a big box, and normally you fill up maybe half of it, right? Every other week. But every other week it was so full. It was like mound of bottles. Typically my beer bottles and then some wine bottles. And there's no room to put additional 2-3 more. So I would leave some bottles in the garage and then save that for the 2 weeks later after that. And then and then it kind of accumulates. And I remember feeling embarrassed about it. Kind of like, my neighbors are going to think that I drink a lot. And in subconscious mind too, and I think I knew that was wrong. I was doing something that I shouldn't be doing, but kept doing it by making excuses. And going to the bars too. You will find reasons to go to bars, whether you meet, clients or co-workers. It's like, hey, do you want to go have a drink? Do you want to go have a cool one? Do you want to go have a cool one? Do you want to go to happy hour? Do you wanna hang out? I mean, that could mean with certain people they will go out and have a drink, and that becomes 2 and 3 drinks typically. And one night I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and I would drive home with like minimum 2 beers or maybe 3 beers some night, and I definitely had the buzz. If I was pulled over, I probably would have gotten tickets. Many of those days, I mean, I was lucky enough. Yeah, I was so stupid to do that even. But those moments kind of added up to where I was thinking. But the problem is, at that time, I wasn't thinking that I was an alcoholic. But that realization came after I actually went cold turkey. And some days I would start drinking at lunch. Those one of those like lunch drinks. If there's a traffic on highway, I would just excuse myself saying things like this in my head. Oh, rather than fighting in the traffic and just stuck on the highway for 20 minutes, why don't I just go to a cool bar where I am at the moment and just get a drink, and then when the traffic clears out, I will drive home. And then I was spending about probably 100 to 200, $250 every week on just alcohol. Like 6 packs, like $10. A bottle of wine, 10, 15, 20. And you do that every 2 to 3 days because you're running out. Because at the end, I was drinking about a pack a day, like 6 beers a day, plus a shot of whiskey. So that cost added up. I was spending probably about $300 every week, I think. No, am I right? No, a month, I'm sorry. So, $30 to $60 a week, and then that added up to about $200 to $300 a month. That's right. So, that's quite a bit of money. When you think about Netflix being like $16 a month, that you think, oh, that's a lot. Right? When you're spending $200-300 a month on alcohol alone, that's a problem. And I realized that. And let's see. Yeah, I try to make a note and try to share with you how much, the things that I was going through at the time. But yeah, when you go home, no, before you go home, you have a drink at a bar. And then when you come home, you eat some food and then you have another drink. And then you end up drinking until like 10, 11, midnight, and then you go to bed. And then the next morning that I'm drinking like a bunch of like coffee to offset, to wake me up. So one day, I believe it was March 15th, 2021. So, in the middle of the pandemic. So I thought, I had good enough excuse. But I was scheduled to show home. And I woke up around 1 p.m. that day. The appointment was around 3 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. or something like that. I woke up at 1 p.m. and I had such a headache. I was like, I felt like I was gonna puke multiple times. So I thought maybe I would just puke and then I'll feel better and then I can go show at home, meet my clients. But I couldn't throw up and I think I threw up, but then still I didn't feel well. So I had to cancel that appointment like 30, 40 minutes before that appointment time, which made me feel terrible. I was drinking so much and there might have been sinus infection or whatever, the combination of whatever, but it didn't matter. I was drinking so much, I didn't feel good and I couldn't go to work. And that's the moment that I was thinking, I can't do this anymore. So, but I didn't decide to quit right then because I didn't know if I could quit. The 5 p.m. comes around, the happy hour comes around. I may drink again even when I was sick because it's such an habitual thing. I was doing that every day for 2+ years. But I didn't feel good that day at all. I felt like dog. And the next day I woke up, I felt a little bit better, but still terrible. And I probably had some sinus infection going with a big headache and nausea and throwing up and stuff. So the following day, I didn't drink. The third day, I didn't drink. And for some reason, maybe my mental was ready to quit, but I didn't feel like drinking. And after that third day, I vaguely remember, if I could go without drink for 2, maybe now 3 days, let's see how many more days I could go without drinking. And that became a week, became a month, became a year, and now it's almost July. So it's been about 4 months, so about 16 months. It's been 16 months. And now, do I think about drink? No, because I know how bad it can be, how addictive it can be, how one just casual drink at a party becomes 2 and 3, and then I start buying, alcohol at home, and I'm drinking by myself. That's what happened. And in the process, I've learned quite a lot about, the alcohol, the addiction part, the liver damage, how to recover liver damage, what kind of, health consequences that you have to deal with when you drink a lot for a long time. And what I've learned is that there are 2 things, I think. For me, not just the alcohol itself, but the sugar. The sugar consumption from the alcohol was probably the bigger one that I was addicted to because I used to really love sweet stuff. I mean, as an adult, I was eating a lot of like chocolates and stuff like that, and I could eat a lot of it until I get sick. And I think that the combination of alcohol and sugar addiction were the 2 main reasons why, for me, I was addicted to it. And because of that, I wasn't eating a lot of food either. And so, I wasn't treating my body with the nutrient food, good food. I was putting a lot of sugar and alcohol and then compensating and waking up by coffee the next morning. It wasn't good. So, I had that episode of not be able to go to work. That was really embarrassing. Felt bad for the buyers. And those buyers, they decided to work with someone else, and I completely understand. I don't deserve to, keep clients like that when you cancel appointments like that. So I feel bad for them too. But now I am at a better place, at least, that I haven't touched a drink for 16 months. And there's that thing, sober. The word sober. the AA meeting, you know. Hey, my name is Sean and I'm sober for 16 months. There's something weird about it, in my opinion. I like to use the term like alcohol free because I think that resonates in our society better. Like, you know, gluten free, sugar free. Why not alcohol free? Do you agree too? Yeah, I have my dog just right below my butt. Yeah, so you know, alcohol free is what I like to say because I think when you say something free, that means something is bad. Some people think that it's bad, and I do think that alcohol is bad. And it's one thing, you know, I kind of started with a question, why do you smoke nowadays, right? But that why do you smoke question was, why don't you smoke in 1960s and 1970s when everybody smoked? And I hope that the alcohol becomes like that in, let's say, 2035, like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that people say, why do you drink? And I think about this quite a bit because it's everywhere. It's like you watch a TV show, they're drinking beer like every episode. There are some shows they're still smoking. When you watch a movie, when you look at the celebrities, the TV commercials that you see, in Portland, there's a lot of beer bars. There's a popping up everywhere. You could even bring in your own food because they call it the tap room. So it's kind of like a trend, I think. They basically sell beers and then you can bring anything in because they don't have a kitchen or they don't want to provide food, which is more work. So they just sell a lot of beer, which is high margin. And so people will, you know, order in from the next door restaurant and then they just hang out there and drink more. If you have a control of preventing addiction, you know, good for you. You can do whatever I want. I mean, I'm not saying here's what you should do, what not to do. I'm basically sharing with you. For me, it was terrible, terrible, terrible thing. How easy to get addicted on that, and how habitual it is, how socially accepted it is. And me being a smaller, you know, body size, it affects probably a lot more. Apparently, it affects women than men more because men have a bigger body, more fluid in the body. You need a little bit more alcohol content to have a similar kind of buzz. Talking about the buzz, yeah, I mean, I used to get buzzed just half a beer. When you drink that every day, the same buzz doesn't happen, and that's the one reason why you keep drinking until you get that sort of like happy buzzy mode. And I would get buzz at around 3-4 beers. That you know, the bottle beer, the store bought beers at bars from keg, they're probably higher alcohol content, probably 2 to maybe 3 beers, and then I started getting buzz. And that buzz level tolerance goes up more and more and more, and it becomes dangerous. One of the things that I remember is that I was getting angry much easier. I was getting really impatient. It's kind of like temper tantrum. If I don't drink, I think about drinking, no matter what time of the day. And I think it messed up with my mind too, because one time I was really mad at my kids, actually. I felt really, really bad. I felt like dumb. I felt like shit, actually. That was probably, yeah, that was the lowest moment, one of the lowest moment in my life. The most terrifyingly embarrassing moment was when I was so angry at my kids for nothing. And I don't want to blame the alcohol just 100%, but it was a big contributor. So it changes your mind, it changes your emotional state, your behavior. There's so much that goes wrong with it, I think. So, one little thing that worked for me, I mean, other than getting super embarrassed because I couldn't go to work, nowadays, you know, I gotta say, I still miss the taste. So sometimes I will go to bars and I would just order like ginger beer. It has a lot of sugar, but it doesn't have alcohol. So I'm treating myself with the sugar, but not with the alcohol, not both. Or sometimes I'll just order like Italian soda or sparkling water. So with the sparkling water, when we go to Costco, I buy like two boxes of those, Italian soda or sparkling water or something like that, and I just open that up whenever I feel like I want to drink a beer, and it works. Um, and it might help if you just add more sugar while you're quitting in the first so many weeks or months, because that, like I said, alcohol addiction is one thing, but the sugar addiction is a whole other game. But if you feel like you need more option, having more like sweets around your house so that you can at least, curb that craving. Um, but yeah, I've been thinking about, sharing my personal experience for a long time. I hope that this message could, resonate with one of you out there, and know that you're not alone. We, alcohol free are out there, a lot of them out there, believe it or not, but we don't have a voice. And to get to alcohol free, you have to go to the bottom. You have to become an alcoholic first, and then you feel embarrassed about it. Even after you become alcohol free, you don't talk about it. That's the problem. That's why you don't feel like people like me are out there. But I go to the bar to meet people, and I order coffee sometimes. They look at me funny, but I don't give a shit, because I don't want to be going back to drinking again, and I don't miss it anymore. Um, the other day, I went to a network event. Yeah, when you walk in there, just being polite. Hey, would you like some cider? And like some beer. No, I'm good. I'm good. I had this, what is it? What did I drink? Yeah, the carbonated water. There's got to be some easier name for that, like fuzzy water. Somebody should make fuzzy water. And I was drinking that, and at the event, I had a good time. People are, typically business networking event that starts at 5, that go to 8. People are typically mellow. I mean, they are not yet too drunk. They had one or two drinks and they can handle that. But then when you go to the following round, I followed these guys, and we went to a bar and they started drinking, and I wasn't, obviously. And by the time I was about to leave, everybody was so drunk. I had to help them get Ubers and put them in there. If you're watching this, I'm not judging you in any way, but for me, I was in that mode. But looking from outside, it was just very different. You guys probably had a better time than me, possibly because you were, drunk. But yeah, it was kind of interesting experience. So yeah, now one funny thing. I actually, after I quit, I missed that bar atmosphere. And so I went to the neighborhood bar. I walked in, and I asked them, "Hey, do you have alcohol-free beer?" They're like, no, we don't. So if you own a bar out there, have some alcohol beer options, the alcohol-free options, because people like me will appreciate you. Yeah. So yeah, my dog was kind of like barking at the door, but let's see. Is there anything else I want to cover? I don't know if I want to make another episode about this. I would make another one if you have some like specific questions that you want to know, any specifics or whatever. But I think I covered them all. Um, if you're still here, I mean, obviously you either loved this episode or hated it. Well, if you hated it, you won't be here until now. So I appreciate you being here. I'm planning to upload this to the YouTube and Anchor, both podcast and video. So no matter where you are, kind of check into yourself and either like learn to moderate or consider maybe quitting. The cold turkey is the way to go, in my opinion. Or have some like they call it the detoxing months. I think those are good because your body can kind of reset, I think. But for the personality like myself, I just couldn't. I just had to go all the way out. Anyways, if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer all of those. And I think this is important matter for many of us out there. Be safe, and thanks so much for watching and listening. So it's a Costco brand Italian sparkling mineral water. That's hard to say. And then it's another Costco but sparkling water. Sparkling water. Coming from South Korea, the R's and L's are really hard. So it's just sparkling water. They should come up with easier name. Fuzz water or spark water or something else. Anyways, this is it's really good. I'll be drinking this and this while I'm editing this video. So good.